morning, good evening, whatever time it is today. Trevor with Max Plasencia and Mike Sheffer. Some gifted, and I watch your guys' content for, I don't know, at least 6 months, 8 months now.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, you do a good job. I like it because I feel like you're like surfing a little bit while you're doing it. So when I'm buried and I'm like in the trenches, it's like it reminds me of where I live and what I should be enjoying every once in a while. So no, I enjoy it because it's you're intelligent, but it's also very freeing. You're not like stuck in the studio like I am.
You know, I try to make it so people can, first of all, get the information that they want to get out of it, but also make it absorbable for people. And, you know, I can't cover everything in every single one of those social media posts, but I try my best to help people. And you'd be surprised. There's so many polarizing comments that I get with all of this stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like, I'm just here to help people just like you, just like Max. And like, that's what it's all about. But we really appreciate you having us on the show, Trevor.
Oh,
and you're an inspiration to a lot of people, you know, big in this industry. And I'm just so excited to do this together.
Yeah. So I've given them carte blanche to ask anything. I do that for pretty much everybody. You know, I will say every once in a while, they're like, oh, I want to get this. I'm like, well, we're going to get in some trouble. Like if I'll answer it, we might have to cut it. And then I also, other thing is I always curse all the time, and I apologize.
No problem.
My girlfriend's the same way. She has a 3-year-old, and she was like, hey bud, you need to come over and eat your food. Why? Because I'm your mom and I want to eat dinner with you. He's like, Jesus ate Christ. And she's like, where the fuck did you hear that? And she's dying laughing. I'm like, uh-oh, somebody's in trouble. She's like, I can't stop laughing. How am I supposed to make him feel like he's in trouble? He's 3, barely 3. Yeah. She's like, where did you learn that? Jesus ate Christ, Mom. Leave me alone. I'm like, oh my God.
Wait, speaking of that, I just want to tell a story first.
Yeah, I love
my daughter too, because we're setting up the Christmas tree. My daughter was like 2 years old, and my wife was hanging something and she dropped it. And my daughter turns to me and she says, oh shit. And
always the first time.
And it was like, it's funny because it actually took the words out of my mouth, and I couldn't say like anything bad about it because I was about to say it too.
Thanks for not getting me in trouble. Right?
But it was just the funniest thing ever. But anyways, I've been working on that a lot too. I'm going to try not to curse because I did come from engineering and construction background. And when you're around all those people all your life, it's like, that's all they do.
Those are restaurants.
Yeah. And you know what? You actually have to like get on their level to communicate with them properly.
Yeah.
So
when you're in the kitchen and there's ole way, chinga tu madre, you know, you're using all the, the Mexican Latin slang in the back of the house, and you get up to the front, and then you got everybody else in every other language yelling at each other so that the customers don't hear what they're saying. It's pretty funny. I did that in alcohol, and yeah, it's a lot of cursing.
Yeah, it's good. I want to dive right into it if we can. And
sure.
I'm excited to talk to you because
I wanted to learn a little bit about you guys too. But yeah, I'll let you go.
Well, you do.
No, what is the dynamic here? Because I'm sure people that watch me probably watch you guys, but I also got my parents and my family, my aunts and my uncles that really only watch me. They only go on and look at my stuff because they're old and they don't use Instagram or Spotify or anything. So they'll get an impression of you guys, and maybe my mom or dad will want to watch you guys, things like that. So
sure.
What is, tell me about you guys. Like you obviously engineering, construction.
Well, I'll go into my full background just so everybody knows. So obviously my name is Mike Sheffer. So I was a civil engineer for 15 years. Specializing in marine engineering. And that's actually how I got from Canada to Florida. Was I took a job here with a company called Orion that was hired by NASA to build a infrastructure for NASA, the overpass for NASA, where they brought all of their heavy equipment, their space, shuttles and boosters and everything over. They just needed a more fortified kind of expansion. So, but the interesting thing is that like engineering was never my passion. It was one of those things where, my parents, when I was younger, were like, "Oh, you're so good at math. You're so good at information." And I actually, funny enough, I actually wanted to go into health because when I was young, I had a bunch of issues going on with autoimmune things and asthma, eczema, you name it. I had a whole laundry list of things that the doctors basically said, like, I was just stuck on medication with. So, when I was 14 years old, I got into health and fitness in the gym and just, was mentored by this really cool guy. His name was Lance. He was my like fitness instructor basically. And he just took me under his wing and he just like educated me on a whole bunch of things. And then was, oh, you should actually look into this because of the allergies, because of the asthma, because of this. And he was a wealth of knowledge. And as I dug more and more into it, and this is just how I am, it's like, I'm so determined when I get something in my mind, and I'm like, I'm just going to do it. Right. That's always been my thing. And I just dove right into the nutrition side, and I just continued to acquire information since I was 14 years old, basically got off all of the medication by the time I was like 18, 19 years old, and just fell in love with the gym from everything that it had done for me. And since then I had been, coaching people online, coaching people in person, just on the side. Right. And so I've been technically in the business of health since I was about 19 years old. So let's call it 17 years now. But also, during university and college, I really didn't have any money, and I was just,
I don't know anybody that has money in college.
No.
Comes from a really well off family. My parents didn't even pay for college. So I was 30, 40, 50, 60 grand in credit card debt. Oh God.
Yeah.
Those interest payments per month.
Crazy.
More than I made. I just kept getting further and further in the hole.
Yeah. Yeah. So the only thing that I could do was go to the gym at that time. And I was like, well, I can't go to the bar because I don't have any money for the bar. So I may as well just make an excuse and just go to the gym, right? Without my friends. And then it just turned into something really, really interesting because it was completely different than anything that I've imagined it would turn into, the consistency, discipline, and all of those things. And it turned into me competing in the WBFF, getting my pro card there, and then further going to the IFBB and actually getting my pro card there. And I did
What category were you?
Well, it was a fitness model for WBFF and then men's physique for the IFBB. And I did it all naturally too. So no steroids, no hormones, nothing.
One of the few.
Yeah, which is pretty crazy. And trust me, nobody believed me one day of my life.
You know what? I say it's like the 1% of the 1% of the 1% of the 1% could do it without like testosterone or something helping them. It's just the reality. It's not that you wouldn't win if everybody else was natural. It's just everybody else is using something. So it's hard. It's almost impossible. Well,
they just come in fuller, right? They come in way fuller.
The dieting part, when you're dieting, you lose muscle mass. So I did classic physique.
Yep.
I did both, but I mean, classic was my love. I would go, my weight class would be 224 for a show. I'd try to start at 260 at 3% body fat.
Yeah.
I would shave off 36 pounds, but I'd already be 3% body fat. So what are you losing? A shit ton of muscle.
Yep.
Right. With it. But you're trying to get to, paper skin and the vascularity, and I could do it. God, I want to kill everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
classic physique is,
without steroids.
You know what? Classic physique is actually my favorite category too.
It's like all the poses.
Yeah, it's great. And I've always been inspired by like Frank Zane and Arnold.
That guy was Frank Zane is probably one of the best physiques in history.
I modeled my entire classic physique posing routine because I did compete in classic physique too. But
the pose that he did,
the problem was that because I wasn't on steroids, I would come in like 20 or 16 pounds under my weight cap. So
actually, my first show, I did it just peptides, no steroids. And I was 209. I was drastically underweight, but I killed everybody. I won 4 categories.
Yeah. Yeah.
I knew I have a good physique, so I could do it. But then when you go to pro or you're trying to win like a really big show, and the first show I did, I had 37 people or more in all 4 categories that I won. So it was a big show. It's the last show of the year down in San Diego for IFBB, but that wasn't a pro show. You know what I mean? You get into the pros. Those guys, they all use.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't keep up.
And they're also
working.
They're also genetic freaks. Plus
they don't do anything else.
And that's all they do. Yeah, exactly. Like they don't work at all. They're just committed to it. So it's like
they're influencers, they're getting paid to go over to a show and crack a smile, sign an autograph, take a couple pictures. Me, I run 40 companies.
Yeah, exactly.
All my employees.
Good luck.
They're like, oh, Trevor's dieting. Stay away from him. My dogs hate me. Everybody hates me.
But peptides must have made it easier for you
the peptides help me
to do the shows now.
well,
if you were to-
everybody's on 'em. So all the guys that I sponsor that are pros that were just using steroids, they all drop part of the steroids out and they're using like FLGR, IGF-1,
Mm-hmm.
human growth hormone, which is they've always been using that. Insulin.
Yep.
They do a lot of insulin. That's when I got to the bigger size was using insulin. I could never get above 237 to 240 until I used insulin. Now I sit at 240 year round.
Yeah, you look great.
Or heavier. You guys all like, not only is the tannest man I've ever seen, the best looking beard. I got work to do. But I mean, you guys both, walking, oh, these guys are in shape. Your wife's in shape. You guys all look good.
Yeah, well, we lived the lifestyle, and peptides have been a big, play. And actually, just to further go on my kind of tangent to my biography there, how we got into peptides was just through personal experiments of ourselves. And
early. You guys, how long have you guys been using them?
Well, I've been using them for maybe about 3 years at this point, and
that's still early.
But I have a little longer, just because, like I said, I was on Peptide Sciences at least once a week, if not purchasing peptides, educating myself. Because one thing that company really provided was they were the only encyclopedia out there.
Yeah, that's why I created the website, the Peptide University. We have 100,000 pages of information.
Yeah,
it's all. You can skip around. It's all categorized. If you want to look at toxicity studies for every peptide, you can pull all the toxicity studies and it categorizes them. You can dumb it down to a 6th grade reading level. So if all the big words you can't read because you're not a doctor, it takes those out and puts other things in there for you to understand.
That's great.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Because, I do a ton of research on these things, and, even though I'm pretty well versed with all of the medical jargon that gets thrown out in those. And honestly, like half the time I even use some AI to decipher some of the stuff for me.
You go to a year of organic chemistry.
It's funny. My brother's actually an organic chemist.
Oh, Jesus. Good for him. That's a boring class.
It's very boring. And actually, I was very good at organic chemistry because we actually took it for engineering as well.
Okay, you got a little base in there.
So I got a little bit of a base in it, but yeah, I mean, it's a lot of deciphering and just learning, and then playing, helping each other too, because I'm very good friends with Paul Bakhtiar as well, who's a great resource in this industry. And he's inspired me a lot as well. But since researching peptides, which has probably been 5 or 6 years for me straight of research before I even started using them, I always wanted to, but because I was that natural athlete, and I know it sounds silly. Well, there's just so many haters out there, and it's like I
zoomed right past them. I don't give a shit.
I know. I just had this thing in my mind where it's like, oh, I gotta be this natural athlete like I committed to and got my pro card in, and then if I changed it, then what would people think, and all of these things, which was stupid, because at the end of the day, peptides have done nothing but make my life better.
Yeah.
And
there's health better.
Exactly. And one of the things that I say to people now is like, life is not a tested sport, right? Business is not a tested sport. So if you could feel better, if you could sleep better, if you could have more energy every day, if you could, work 5 times harder.
Yeah, that sometimes is a detriment to your personal life, though.
Well, true. But also, okay, let's backpedal for a second. If you could still work and then still have energy for your family.
Oh, I do that, yes.
Right? Still have energy for my wife, still have energy for my 2 kids. Like that is the missing piece of the puzzle, where I think peptides can play a huge role, because I think a lot of people first off go in for like healing, or they want to just look good.
90% healing and fat loss.
Yeah.
90% of it is I hurt myself or I'm fat.
But they're missing out on the cognitive peptides, the energy peptides.
Well, that's where I started. Other than the fact that I did no research, I was injecting random bottles in my arm because I was hurt, and no one knew what a peptide was 12 years ago. But the first thing I did when I got beyond that was try and cure my epilepsy, which I was able to do.
Interesting.
So I was all about the brain. So I was just making molecules no one ever heard of 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Tell me more about that. I'm curious about that with epilepsy. So is it like a combination of like cerebral lysin and?
So I used we couldn't get cerebral lysin over here. I did do 10 bottles of cerebral lysin.
Okay.
And I did so much, who knows what the real catalyst was. Mm-hmm. And then we got to get back to Max, because he took up all of his time. No, I'm just kidding. But I have a very rare form, and I didn't know I had epilepsy for 10 years, because I thought epilepsy was just a seizing, like you're out thing. and I've seen people have it, and I didn't do that. I have euphoric, so everything closes in. Extreme deja vu. Then I'd start sweating and vomit.
Interesting.
And then I'd be extremely tired, and then eventually I'd kind of come back to, and I would be doing this at work. I'd be doing this on the weekends. It started off at 1, and then once a year, and then twice a year, right? But by my mid-30s, it was 2 or 3 times a day. So obviously I'm dealing with this thing. I go see my doctor had retired. I hadn't seen a doctor for 5 years. And I finally get a new doctor because it's at the point where it's detrimental to my life. So I go see a new doctor and I go, hey, can I do a full blood panel and do like a full physical, the whole deal? I want you to get to know each other, right? He goes, yeah, I'll call your insurance, see if I can get it approved. Gets it approved. Sure enough, we're doing the questionnaire of all things. He hadn't even gotten my blood back. We come across all the brain pages. And he's asking questions. He kind of gives, and he goes, I think you have epilepsy. I go, oh, I don't seize. And he goes, there's different versions. I'm going to send you to Dr. Millette. He runs Hogue and USC. You won't get in for 6 months probably, but what do you care? You've had it what sounds like 10 years. What's another 6 months to go to the best guy? Sure enough, I go see this guy maybe 3-4 weeks later because they had this thing where someone cancels. Like I was in the local area. People travel to this guy. So I just was able to sneak in. And he's 3 minutes into the conversation. He's like, yeah, you have epilepsy.
Wow.
And he's smiling at me. I'm like, what the fuck is this guy smiling at me for? And he goes, I'm going to fix you, dude. Don't worry. And I did all the tests. And sure enough, I came back with this rare form. But, I was on all these epileptic medications. I went through a bunch. And I was on 2. And I just didn't like how I felt. Just like getting thrown on a statin for your heart. Worst thing you could do. Don't do it.
Yes, I agree.
Don't ever do it. Like there are so many other ways. If it's life or death, sure. But it isn't when they throw you on those. They just throw you on them. But so I sure enough, after a few years in the peptides, I started doing the research. So I started making P21. I knew what the hell that was. I got my hands on cerebrolizin, C-Max Lank. There was a couple other random little brain ones that we were experimenting back then. I just started running, general cycles of them through the years. And after about 2.5, 3 years, I started slowly weaning myself off. I haven't had a seizure in 4 years.
Wow. That's amazing.
5 now. I lose track of time, but it's been a while since I've ever had one. I kept the Keppra and stuff in the cabinet just in case. And I just threw it all in the trash maybe a year ago.
It's a true testament why we're in the peptide industry right there.
And granted, I didn't do a study myself. I can't prove that it's completely gone, all those things, but I'll tell you right now, it sure as hell ain't throwing up in my car every day.
That's right. That's right. Well,
Max.
Well, before we jump into that, one follow-up question to that. Do you think starting to play hockey at such a young age had any impact in your ability
and drugs? I'll be honest. I was a raver, 14, 15, 16 year old, pretty early in your life to start taking ecstasy and acid, I probably would say. And I was, I went through that phase and I was done with it after I got in a little bit of trouble with it before I was even 18. And, I still dabble with things here and there. You're at a party, you're at your groove cruise. Maybe you do something. Sorry, mom and dad. They don't even care. They smoke weed every day. But that was right. And I had at least a dozen concussions over the years. And I put myself in a minor coma at one point. I flew off a tricycle, hit a curb, was out for like a week.
Wow.
Kind of thing. I don't remember it, but I have a huge crease in my head from cracking my skull on.
Wow.
So I've done a lot of trauma up there. So, but how do you know? What the exact cause was?
It could have been a combination of many factors.
Exactly. And, I don't think it was food. I don't think that's because the brain's so isolated, but definitely that probably contributed. But whatever wires or synapses were broken and misfiring or whatever, I feel like I've fixed them. P21 was so powerful for that. Dihexa is so powerful. That cerebrolizin is so powerful for that. I mean, C-Max for brain, obviously the brain elasticity and rebuilding that functionality, cognitive function. I don't remember 10 years of my life. When I was seizing, I was zapping brain, like in memories, away. Right? I don't. People show me pictures and I don't remember.
Wow.
And usually it's one thing if you don't remember when you see a picture. Oh yeah, I have no idea where that was. So it's nice. I haven't gained all those back, but now I am starting to figure those things out as I've put them together over the last few years. But yeah, it was a weird part of my life.
P21 is one that I haven't actually used.
I use it every day.
And I've heard you talk about it a couple of times, and it's it's definitely on my list of the next ones.
For me, it was an essential for if you have any kind of Alzheimer's, Parkinson's kind of stuff in your lineage. I always tell people, I go, we have so much good genetic. Don't take the $79 genetic test. Does not tell you shit. But if you go out and get a really good one, and they probably start at $300, $400, you're not going to get all the way into it. But then you can use ones like Age Code. They're like $1,800, but you are getting deep. And it breaks down all the way to they do 890 biomarkers. It's probably more because they keep adding. It keeps going more and more. But you really start getting into every gene that you have that and it's a 0, 1, 2. A 0 means you're completely normal. There's no difference. You're in the clear kind of thing. Number 1 means you have the possibility of developing this disease or these chronic illnesses or whatever. You're susceptible. But if you watch what you're doing, you probably will never get it. And then 2 is kind of, you're going to get it. It's just when. And if you're going to get it, you should start doing things to postpone it or make sure it doesn't come in hard. Right. So if you have the 2 on the CC gene for, Alzheimer's, you better get your ass on dihexa, P21, those kind of products, cerebral isin, because it's not a if, it's a when. So it's if you get it at 60, if you get it at 50, if you get it at 90, but whatever it is, if you can push that line back, even 5 years, this is a nasty disease. And we're hoping actually that one of our products, we're going to be able to help cure it or completely eliminate it from forming with a product that we're doing in human trials right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah. So obviously we got to see if it works, but it's been studied for over 30 years, 35 years now. And we have one that works. So we'll start doing the human trials on it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, what every viewer and listener has been waiting for, little background, little about me. So Mike and I have similar trajectories. I just started earlier just because I'm older, but got into the health and fitness industry at a very young age as a teenager, probably around 16. I was that kid that had, the cement dumbbells in the basement, had a makeshift bench, which was essentially a 1x12 board on a couple cinder blocks, essentially just to get the height that I needed.
Love it.
Off the ground. I was a huge fan of Arnold Schwarzenegger growing up. His movies, I watched every movie. And so he was an inspiration for me to get into fitness and bodybuilding. I remember I bought the Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding. It was the thickness of a phone book. If anyone's ever seen that. Yeah. Arnold Schwarzenegger's Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding. It was
I don't
huge.
even think I know that book. I thought
you're probably not old enough for it. But
I'm pretty old.
I like to say I got a lot of people say, oh, you don't look as old as 51, but I got a lot of miles on me.
No, so, don't look 51. Look good.
So
it's the peptides.
Yeah. I mean,
peptides.
I read every single page and I just got immersed into bodybuilding. And from that very young age, I knew, all right, this is something I want to do. I don't know if I'm going to do it as a hobby, as a profession, but this is something I'm going to do for the rest of my life because it's the only thing that I looked forward to doing.
Yeah, I love going to the gym. Like, I just will not eliminate that from my life.
Yeah.
It's my peace. It's my sanctuary. Even the days I hate, like today, I didn't want to go, but I got there. I did leg day.
Nice.
And, you get 3 sets in, you're like, oh, this is why I'm here.
Yeah, exactly.
Sweating and in pain, but.
Exactly. And, throughout the years, life gets in the way, slows you down or derails your path, family, work, business. There are always opportunities for, life to kind of dictate what your life path is going to be. So I kind of fell off there for a while, started building a family, building a business. And I remember looking at a picture of me and thinking, is that what I look like? Typically I don't like taking pictures of myself. I don't want to look at pictures.
Because I think we should show, because I have the same thing. Someone said I was 28% or 26% body fat. Someone sent me a photo And they go, remember when you used to be jacked and I had 3 chins and I just had this dad bod and some boobs?
I do.
I think we should do this. Do you have? Were you ever a fat guy?
No.
No. See, he has the.
He
doesn't know what we're talking about.
Look, look at him. I've gone after a competition and ate my face off for like months. And the biggest I've ever been was like 208 pounds. I showed Max a photo of it and he's like, you still have abs. And I'm like, well, well, I was pretty.
If you can win a bodybuilding show natural, you're probably genetically well more gifted than everyone else.
It just gets to a point for me where like I can't eat anymore and my body just won't.
So here's just a before. This was kind of like the catalyst.
Oh yeah, look at you.
So someone showed me a picture. I think it was.
Okay, come on. I know we can zoom in on this later. Okay.
Well, they can probably put the photo up.
Yeah, we'll do it later. Yeah. So that was. And that's nice skivvies he's got right there. So this was, I think people have maybe seen this before. This was mine. And this wasn't as fat as I got. But this is the one that someone sent me because
let me see this.
Noticed like the 3 chins are kicking in.
Oh yeah.
So that was my 5-year transition.
You know what's funny?
Oh yeah. I mean, very, very, very similar. You know, I was probably 35% body fat.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You were bigger than me.
Keep in mind though, 5 years earlier, I was in decent shape. But again, business, starting a family, your life kind of takes a different turn. So I stopped exercising regularly, stopped dieting regularly. And then
because you'll go, I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow turns into 2 years.
Exactly. So essentially,
Jesus, what I do
you settle into that. And before you know it, 4 or 5 years have gone by and you don't resemble anything that you used to look like.
And you don't feel good.
You don't feel good.
Tired. You're shaming
And then I look at this picture
mental.
and I was, wow, is this really me? Is this what I look like? Yeah, that's what you look like. And I'm like, I look like a pile of dog shit.
Yeah.
And that really, really hit me. And then immediately a switch went off. I started thinking, this isn't who I am. This isn't who I've been. I got to regain my health back. Got to take control of my health. And immediately made a switch and decided I'm going to join a bodybuilding competition because I needed that spark, that motivation.
Yeah, a lot of people that I tell people, I go, trainers are really irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. They're not going to teach you really much more than you can just go online and look at. But that person is sitting there forces you to be like, well, I don't want to look like an idiot. I can throw another plate on there. I can get that up. It just motivates you. They make you do a little bit more. And if you have to show up, and if you don't show up, they call you, it makes you get to the gym.
Yeah. Just accountability partner.
It is. And people need that. In fact, that's why every one of these guys that's a pro bodybuilder or a golfer, or it doesn't matter. They all have coaches and trainers. Everybody needs help. Now, if you're not doing something professionally and you've mastered the arts, like I think a lot of people that watch this and us out here, that we know what we're doing on the day-to-day basis. And if we do something wrong, we know how to fix ourselves. Mm-hmm. We can get to 90% of the way there, but to be in that top 10%, you need help.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. That's why doctors are here. That's why clinicians, that's why nutritionists, that's why coaches, that's why trainers.
Well, it's even more important when it comes to peptides because a lot of people have no idea what they're doing anymore. And sure, you can play around with a couple yourself without a proper coach or proper guidance. But if you start to stack a whole bunch and actually expect it to do what you want to do, you need to have someone that's had experience in that, because I've seen a lot of people that stack so many different things. And I
I'm a less is more guy.
Yeah. Guarantee you none of the stuff is working actually the way they intended it to, or they could have just dropped 7 of the peptides out of the 15 that they have, and they probably would feel just as good, if not better.
Yeah. I always tell people, I go, less is more with these. Mm-hmm. Until your body needs them, you're not doing yourself any more good. You're probably creating not permanent side effects, but you're creating symptomatic side effects in the short term. Like, okay, if I take more GLP-1, I'm going to lose more weight. Well, yeah, but not in the right way.
Yeah.
You're going to be sick. You're going to lose muscle mass. That's not what you're trying to lose. If you take too much tesofensine, you're not going to sleep. You're going to be anxiety ridden. Like, there's these things. Stick to the low dose, people. It's a long play. You're not dying tomorrow. You're not probably in a bodybuilding show tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Spend 6 months a year. Do it right. 1 pound a week is
That's
52
perfect.
pounds a year. If you're 52 pounds overweight, lose 1 pound a week, right? Most people aren't. losing 15 in 1 week is not good.
Yeah. I think the most powerful thing out there is the GLPs, but they're also the most abused.
Oh, for sure. Oh, and that's Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk.
Well,
they overdose and auto titrated everybody up because they wanted people hooked.
That's what I tell everybody. It's like the biggest problem with the FDA approval or those human trials is that the doctors and the people that are using them try to follow those human trials, which is just a schedule of increasing. And it's like,
if you're losing weight, why would you increase?
Why?
That's like you saying, well, I don't even know where to go with that, but like, oh, I'm drinking a soda. Well, I'm still kind of thirsty, so I might as well just keep drinking Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Until I can't.
Yeah.
No, stop. Like if the satisfaction is there, don't just keep funneling it in there. And if you're losing a pound or two a week, and if you have a week that you don't do 0 or you do 0 pounds, that doesn't mean, it's not working anymore.
I know.
You might have water on you. You may have taken a poop in 3 days.
Yeah.
Right? Who knows?
Oh, you just flew on the airplane. Well, and what do you expect? You're going to hold some water, right? Or you had extra salt.
Yeah.
You had a ton of sodium. You're going to hold some water. So many people come to me on my social media and are like, I'm at 15 milligrams of tirzepatide a week.
Yeah.
I'm not losing any weight.
Yeah. And
I'm like,
now it's going to take you 6 months to a year to reset.
How the hell did you even get to 15 milligrams a week? Oh, well, the doctor. Yeah. It's like, it's so unfortunate.
6 months later, you're at the max.
So unfortunate. It's like, well, where do you go from there?
I have a good friend, Dr. Ira, and I've been working with him for over a year, and he's finally losing weight again, but he's same thing. He was in this effed up 15 milligram tirzepatide, could not lose a pound. I had to get him on amylin and, GHRHs and kind of do these things so he didn't just keep putting weight back on when I got home. But I had to get him off of all the GLPs for a while because they were just saturating his receptors, and he was not losing. He was feeling like crap from them. It didn't matter how much he took. He was starving all the time. They weren't doing anything anymore.
We use tesofensine a lot to help people reduce the tirzepatide or retatrutide if they've gone way too far. But like the reality is, it's like once you're up to 15 milligrams, especially if you don't have any discipline, because that's the way why you got there. It's like you're gonna struggle coming off of that.
Yeah,
and you might never get off of it.
I always tell people, I go, if you're at 15, you're trying to back down to 10, and just know you're gonna have to pay a little more attention, right? You can use like the tesofensine, use like a congrilotide, something amylin based. They'll help you with the cravings, and start focusing on, maybe you've been just not doing anything but taking it. Well, get on a goddamn treadmill.
Yeah.
Or a bike.
People also
walk.
Yeah. People also lose fact of 3 things. 1, they're not a replacement for healthy lifestyle choices.
No,
right?
They're a tool.
They're a tool. They're an aid. 2, there's a biological limit to what your body can metabolically change. So if you're losing weight rapidly, you think taking more is going to increase that rate. It's not, because your body has a rev limiter. It's like, all right, I can lose 3 pounds a week, but I can't lose 6 if you double the dose, because there's a process for, converting fat cells into free fatty acids to circulate the blood to then go into the liver. And all that stresses your organs, which is the third piece that people don't think about.
Yeah.
They're not even getting blood work done. When you're losing weight and you're losing weight rapidly, your kidneys and your liver are stressed. Your AST, your ALT levels are super high. So if you're not monitoring those things.
Low dose, great for the kidneys, great for the liver.
High dose,
not good for the kidneys.
Not good at all.
Yeah.
And then you have to introduce medications or other compounds to aid in the repair of your liver, right? And your kidneys.
And by the way, I talk about this all the time. This is not just only a peptide thing. There's nutritional supplements. You're never going to see a multivitamin take you from one side to the other. But when you start doing these products that are limiting your intake of food that you normally have.
Yep.
Now, granted, if you're eating like crap, it probably doesn't really matter. But I know people that were healthier eaters, right? And they're like, I just can't eat as much food anymore. You might not be getting that vitamin C, vitamin K, lecithin, whatever it might be. You need to start paying attention to what you're leaving out of your diet.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean just throw everything in there, because once again, you just take up too many vitamins, you're hurting your kidneys. But being very smart and you can go down and get a vitamin panel done. They're expensive, $300, $400, but you can actually go in and see where you're lacking nutritionally for minerals and vitamins. And you probably eat about the same. Like I'm a creature of habit. Not that I eat the same thing every day, but I have foods that I enjoy. So I eat a lot of them. They'll tell the tale on what you're missing.
Mm-hmm.
Upgrade yourself, make sure you're taking methylated vitamins where you can, and then also pay attention, because vitamin D, things like that. If you aren't absorbing vitamin D, I don't care if you're using methylated vitamin D, almost everybody has a D shortage. We have a lot of folate issues in people's bodies. So you don't get enough folate, which allows your body to absorb vitamin D. So you need to make sure that you're getting good, fats in there in order to absorb these other vitamins. You can't just all of a sudden eliminate fat, right? Fat is so good for you. It's just like when they give people hormones, these doctors like, okay, we're going to put you on testosterone and we're going to put you on Arimidex. Why? Do they have an estrogen issue? You haven't even started to check.
I know.
No.
Because your body needs estrogen for your brain, your joints, your emotional status.
Even sexual health.
Oh, big time sexual
right?
health.
Because if your estrogen is super low, you're going to have a problem. If it's super high, you're going to also have a problem too.
I run mine at like 120.
Yeah.
You keep yours that high. Well, another thing, as your estrogen drops, water retention drops, and then you start feeling creaky joints.
Yeah. Well, that's why
tendons and ligaments.
I like the lubrication.
Yeah, you like the lubrication when it's higher. I know. But yeah, I mean, to your point, if you're not checking your vitamin levels on GLP, people lose a ton of minerals.
That's what I'm saying. They don't eat, and they're peeing, they're throwing up, they're doing all the other things. They're excreting a lot, but not putting anything back in to charge the batteries.
And also, people are concerned with like the bone density loss from GLPs. It's like it's not the GLP.
It's eating
the deficiency in nutrients that you're getting or not getting while you're taking it, because you're just depriving your body of everything. So it's like, that's why, again,
by the way, exercise has a
huge part on it too.
If you're doing these things and not, like I said, it's the body's a million different. It's going to be impossible to figure everything out, but there's very good habits to make sure you stay in pretty good, shape. And I'm not talking about like looking with a 6-pack shape. I'm talking about the body as a whole being healthy.
Yeah. And that's what peptides are all about. It's like we use them.
Peptides, vitamins, minerals, eating habits, gym.
All of those things. Yeah. You got to stack them together, because that's the winning strategy. It's not like you can't be lazy and just expect the peptides to get you there. It's a combination of everything that plays into a healthier lifestyle. And I think a lot of more people are really wanting to live the healthier lifestyle, which I'm a huge fan of. And
it doesn't look as attractive in the beginning, but once you get into it, it's addicting as hell.
It is. Like even when I eat off my kind of diet, let's say, I don't track my calories or macros or anything anymore. But if I eat something that I don't normally eat that I know is not going to be good for me, it's like the next day I feel like crap and I can't think clearly. I can't do my job that I want to. I can't speak to people and actually help them as well as I wanted to. So it's like, why would I ever do that? It just doesn't play into the lifestyle. And that's where the addiction, I think, starts to come. It's like, once you feel so good, once you're operating at the highest level, it's like, why would I ever want to not do this?
Yeah. No, it's true.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of bad habits.
We all do.
Anyway. Okay. So that was a good start right there, and a lot of segues, which is always good. But I know you have a ton of questions, you said. So
yeah, I do have a ton of questions. Yeah. I mean, like, honestly, like the first one I want to talk about, because I haven't used it, although I've seen a lot of different influencers talking about it, but also, big guys like Jay Campbell. Yep. And I know that you partnered with him for the Follistatin that you guys created.
FLGR.
Yeah. FLGR.
What's funny is Mike is going to be, he's the guy that actually created the molecule, has a patent on the molecule. We're the partners for the distribution rights for all that. Mike's going to be on my show in a couple weeks. He is also doing an entire doctor network. We're having a big forum for him in a couple days. So if you want to hear him actually speak, I can get you on that. He's the guy that created it. He's the genius. So, but yeah, I can give it a little bit of love, but yeah, that stuff, it works.
Yeah. And you've used it personally, of course, or seen a lot of people use it, obviously. And
yes.
What do you think the comparison between like something like that and just using like a testosterone would be?
Well, okay. So if you with
I know it's
FLGR,
completely different.
It is. I mean, I always say that if your testosterone as a man is completely gone, I don't think anything's really going to help you.
Mm-hmm.
You can get leaner, but you're not going to get bigger. It's going to be really hard to put muscle without that essential component. However, if your testosterone is in the right guidelines, let's call it 800, nothing crazy, just, you're a normal guy. It's going to do a lot of wonders. You're probably going to see 2 to 3 kilos of lean body mass a month for a while.
A month.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you'll see it. You'll see where, like anything, you hit a point where it's doing its job to a certain point, and then you either got to go up higher. So for me, what I saw was I was in like the 228 to 232 range when I started FLGR, and I was still using Primo. I was on Primo for 6 years. Primo Bone.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
No, we're well familiar with that compound, but I didn't realize you could run it that long.
Oh, it's healthy for you. Like you look at my blood reports over all those years, perfect.
Wow.
Helps with a ton of different. It's really good for your immune system too.
Was it like a lower?
Nope.
Call it TRT dose or
600 to 1,000 milligrams a week.
Wow.
Right. So
without TRT, just straight.
No. I would always be on TRT.
You have to balance it, right?
Yeah. Like I said, if you're going to do any of this stuff, I think you need to make sure your testosterone's there. So I was running my testosterone around 1,200. The high side of the norm, so to speak.
What's the free at?
Oh God, I would have to look because every test is different, but it was high, like higher than the norm.
Like 200, 250?
Yeah, probably 222.
Okay. Yeah.
Sounds familiar for last one. And like I said, I always run, when I was on Primo, it was hard because my estrogen would be like 12.
Mm-hmm.
Kills estrogen. So I started injecting estrogen. And
really?
And I was injecting DHT as well. So there's like a lot of learning and seeing what the body would do. But anyway, I cut out Primo altogether. And which was a challenge because that continues to keep lean muscle mass, nitrogen in the tissue. It's really effective. And I cut it out and I started FLGR. And since then, I went from that 228 to 232. I'm at 245.
Wow.
At 3% body fat on an in-body right now from using FLGR. I didn't add anything else. I cut out DHT. I cut out the estrogen. I cut out Primo, and I'm growing in size from it.
Yeah, and I know it's all about inhibiting myostatin, right?
Yeah, because my natural body, if my myostatin was just there, it probably says you're only supposed to be 205.
Yeah.
So the only way I'm going to get pushed past that is with using higher testosterone, steroids, something that will get you past that level. But even if you don't eliminate the myostatin, every time you stop anything, your body starts pulling that weight down.
Right.
And that's why bodybuilders, you see these people that do steroid cycles, they put on 30 pounds and 3 weeks later, they're back to normal because the body is still going, no, this isn't supposed to be here.
Yeah.
Here comes the pendulum.
Well, because it's not healthy for the body too. That's what it's trying to limit, overgrowth because
I'm putting stress on my kidneys, my heart, but I know what I'm doing to myself. And I do a lot of stuff to help those sectors out as well. Right. So I'm not just doing this blindly. And I'm also in the very mindset, which might change with recent news, but I was like, I'm going to burn twice as bright, but I know I'm going to end a little earlier and I'm okay with that. I don't need to be 120 years old. I'll probably, my friends always say I'm a cockroach. I'm the one you can't kill. I'll probably outlast all of them, even though I'm, I've probably abused myself worse than all of them. But, it really, what you see is doesn't start right away. And people, it was expensive in the beginning. We've dropped the price because we're now making enough that we were able to kind of start bringing the price down. I mean, it's $799 a month originally for like standard dose, and I use double that.
What is the dosage that you use?
I use 5 milligrams a week.
5 milligrams a week,
and it's not always that way. Maybe it's 5 milligrams every 8 to 10 days.
Yeah.
Because I travel so much, but I try and go on like Friday. If I have it with me Friday.
And it does bind to albumin, right? So
it has an albumin binder. Yeah. So it's slow release.
So it's slow release. So you don't have to take it every day. It's like a once a week kind of thing.
No, but like anything, if you decide to be a needle junkie, like some people are, they just love it. If you take it every day, you do see different results.
Okay.
I don't think it's necessary. I went back to once on Fridays, once a week.
Right.
Yeah, but I started on, every other week, and I was doing this the standard dose, and I saw myself kind of get to the 235 to 237 range. And that was with Primo in the beginning, with using it. And then, like I said, I dropped that. I thought I was going to start going down, but I increased my Follistatin to once a week, and I've just continued to grow.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And I heard something else that was interesting too. And I think you can probably answer this, but there was something in it that you guys did to stop organ growth too.
Yeah. And that's going to be a Mike Farber.
Yeah, sure. Of course.
He'll really get into detail on that. But do you know anything about the predecessors to our product, FLGR?
A little bit.
So ACE 31 was kind of one of the original ones. There's Follistatin 314, 344.
Yeah.
I was a huge proponent of Follistatin 344. Mm-hmm. I've been using that product for 5 years.
Right.
Now, like anything, when you shut off the myostatin receptor, it closes down and then it starts coming back. So if you wanted to use that product and you wanted to continue to maintain muscle mass without the depletion, because you would see your weight, you wouldn't change anything. And all of a sudden you're like, why am I just dropping? And you're not getting fatter, none of the, you're just starting to lose muscle because the receptor's starting to come back on and go, you're not supposed to be up here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Starts bringing you back down. So I recognize that I need to go on it every 2.5 to 3 months. I'd have to run another 20-day cycle of Follistatin 344.
Okay. And
that would let me keep my gains to where it was. The problem with it was it's a protein, right? It's a low purity product. It's really hard to get above 95.
Interesting.
Like that's kind of the base where most things are 99.
Yep.
It's a 95 around purity level. So, we like the last batch that we produced, we were at 97. I was very happy with that. You'll never see a 99.
Yeah.
If you do, it's fake.
Right.
Falsify the reporting. It doesn't work that way. It's a protein. It's different. When you're talking about peptides, yes, 99.
It degrades too quickly as soon as you
correct
make it.
Yeah, and in the body, it's the same way.
Same thing with HGH. People are like, well, why is it only 97%? You're not going to find 99, 100%.
So we make it, it's 99. If you come back 4 months later, yeah, you're probably at 97. Yeah. If you go 4 months later, it's 95.
Right.
It's not going to hurt you, but you're losing these things quickly. And we have a whole chart. We actually went through it today in my production meeting. We built an entire chart of every single product and its degradation levels, and we're doing massive stability testing on everything. So, and this sparked from that fucking idiot, Dr. Trevor Kruder. He's the only person I call it as a fucking idiot. He get on there. Oh yeah, they don't work together. It's from 1978. It's like
above the blends, you mean?
Yes. By the way, I immediately went on and I did stability testing on Glow, and I will more than happy to show it. It's 39 pages long of stability testing.
Yeah, we're
at 100 days, never declined anywhere.
Yeah.
Now, Clo, different. KPV, much different molecule than the others. We get to about 30 days and then the cliff starts falling off.
Yeah.
By 42 days.
Is that after reconstitution?
Yes, after reconstitution. This is not, obviously when they're lyophilized, different. So if you're using Clo, and I'm going to put this on everywhere, use that bottle over 30 days. Now, it's not going to kill you if you go past that. Just know that you're probably not seeing it. You start to see other peaks kind of form and break down.
Yeah.
And it's mostly in the TB4.
In the TB4.
Yeah. The GHK stays, the KPV stays, but that, acidification and the balance in there, that TB4 starts breaking down and creating several different peaks.
That's interesting because I always thought that the KPV was the more sensitive molecule.
It is, but I think it's because we buffer so highly to keep it stable, we're losing other guys.
Okay, that makes sense.
First, and GHK is so solid.
Yeah. No, I've never thought that those blends degrade because my thought process was like, look, we have like hundreds of different labs that are creating this blend too. And
once again, though, but do you know how much? Okay. Because they put them together and you think they're going to be fine. Do you know how much studies and science we put into that product before we ever released it? I own the trademarks on Glow and Clo.
Really?
We created those products. I also created biofermented NAD. That's me. We put 2 years into NAD plus with that was biofermented. Glow took us at least 4 to 5 months to get those to stabilize the right way that we can get 100 days. And it keeps going. We just stopped. We're like, okay, how much longer? No one's keeping this in their fridge for 3 months. Right. Clo, we're going to try and get that up to 60 days. The other thing we figured out is it's very sensitive to light, which is also probably one of the breakdowns. So we're going to switch it to amber and see if we can get a little longer time out of it.
Yeah, I like that.
But just putting them in there, there is a lot of changing the acidity ranges and buffers that we're using to get them to stay stable in there.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just put them in there. There is a little bit of legitimacy to what he says, but he's quoting things based on science 50 years ago that we didn't know how to do, or even 20 years ago.
And there's a lot of theoretical things that in reality also don't play out.
Yeah, and then there's that other doctor that's kind of going on, and she goes into the science behind things. Well, there's stuff that we're doing that she has no idea what we're doing to make things stable, and she might criticize some things that I say, but she doesn't know because she's not in my lab.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that
these molecules,
there potentially is some degradation in certain labs that don't understand it and have just put them together. Correct. Because they don't have the studies and research that you guys have done.
If you're buying something from some dude in a bathtub, yeah, it's not going to work after probably 2 weeks. It is going to degrade. But the difference is if you do have a good source, you're using pharmacies, you're using American manufacturers that care. And even if you could do it, by the way, it's completely illegal. Most people don't understand that the Chinese market of selling finished goods is illegal in China.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're breaking the law all the way across the ocean.
Yeah.
It's just they didn't give a shit because it's like, whatever, $50 million in finished goods go across. That's not even on the radar. That's like them trying to get a cat out of a tree.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's in the billions. Now China's pissed.
Mm-hmm.
They're starting to shut it down because people are making a lot of money. It's not going to their bank account.
Yeah.
Right? As soon as the B comes in, they start getting pissed.
Right.
So that's the whole market's going bye-bye real soon. I got people calling me all day long, scared, like, oh, can I buy them? I'm like, yeah, but my pricing is, you're going to make a lot of money still, but you can't make 50X anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. It costs a lot of money to make things here in America.
100%.
So anyway, but back to the thing, we've spent a lot of time figuring these out. Do you realize that Clotho has been a 35-year study?
I didn't know that.
There's a reason why it hasn't been out, but you go back 35, 40 years of people trying to make this work in the human body. It's not as easy as just, cool, we have on Clotho, let's build it, let's go.
Well, there's a ton of different types of Clotho too.
Yeah, so the originals were in like the thousands amino long, ours is in the 700s, right? Ours, like I said, the other problem is with Clotho, if you absorb too much too quick in the bloodstream, it's actually detrimental to your kidneys. And let's go back to FLGR, where we go there. Same thing for Follistatin. So 344 worked, but it was very finicky and you had to follow the rules, and people don't like following rules for some reason. I don't know what it is. I would tell people, you're going to be in a lot of pain for the first week to 2 weeks of injections. It's going to feel like you got kicked by a freaking horse.
Really? You're
going to swell up. Yep. Can't sit down on a toilet. Can't get to your radio. If you do your arm, nightmare for most people. 90% of people have these things. It's your body's rejecting it. Massive amounts of inflammation. But if you can get through that, body goes, okay, maybe this is supposed to be here. Let's let it go. But when I tell people, I go, you need to eat 100 grams of carbs when you do your injection. And then when you get done with the gym, eat another 100 grams of carbs. People are like, I don't want to get fat. Well, it won't activate. It won't work. Right. You need carbs for this thing to work.
Is it because you need the insulin spike?
You need the insulin spike.
Right.
You need glucose going in the blood. So they do this and they'd be like, yeah, I did it. I was just in a lot of pain. I didn't get anything out of it. Well, did you eat 100 grams of carbs? No, I felt, but Jesus, dude, I'm not making it up.
Yeah.
It's 3 weeks of your life.
Just follow the protocol.
If you got fat after 3 weeks, it'd fall right off. Like you can rip my head off then, but don't rip my head off because you didn't listen to what I told you.
Right.
How it worked. And the other thing is if you inject and you're like, okay, cool, I'll go to the gym in 2 to 3 hours. It's gone. It doesn't work anymore. You get 45 minutes. I would be shooting this stuff in my leg and going straight into the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd bust my ass for an hour. It's still in there, but the 3-4 hours later, you've missed. You
missed the window.
You missed the window. And you got to run it for 20 days straight. You can't be like, oh, run 3 or 4, take 3 or 4 days off. The body
got to be committed.
It doesn't shut down because you start shutting it down, and then it's like, oh, well, no, I'm going back.
Yeah.
You get this, and you're still up here somewhere. You need to get it.
Shut it right down.
So that was the 3-4. The other thing was you couldn't inject it into fat. If you put it into the fat, it could sometimes go up and damage your heart.
Interesting.
Yeah. It could give you a little cardiac wall damage, right? Mm-hmm. So you had to do the
intramuscular.
The intramuscular, and painful as fuck. So that was the kind of, those are some of the knocks on the original versions. But if you did them right, they work. You can put 15 pounds of muscle on in a month.
Right.
And it would stay because you shut your myostatin receptor off and you're like, okay, nothing's ripping this shit off of me.
So with FLGR, do you still need the carbohydrates?
No, because it's so slow in there. So as long as you're just eating,
as long as you're eating carbohydrates throughout the day,
which is one of the problems with people that are running it, but they're also on high dose GLPs. They're not getting any sugar.
They're limiting it.
Right. So I don't use those. And if I do use something like a Retta or whatever, which I hate tirzepatide, GIP screws me up. I'm talking half a milligram, 8.8 milligrams a week. You go over that. And by the way, I eat 400 to 800 grams of carbs a day. So that it ain't pulling that out. Yeah. So I can still use it. But if you're using it to pull the carbs and the glucose out of your bloodstream and then trying to throw something like an FLGR, you're kind of fighting two battles.
You got a tug of war going on the opposite direction.
It's like these idiots that are now doing like, oh yeah, I made the ultimate. I put CJC with testosterone and sermorelin in a bottle for you.
Yeah, no, I know. I know. It's like you're using all of the exact same receptors with different compounds. They don't know who's doing.
It's my receptor. No, it's my receptor. No, it's my receptor.
Yeah.
No, stop.
Again.
And fucking pharmacies are doing this and doctors are suggesting.
I know.
Like, oh, come on, guys.
Well, I know. And that's why it's like,
we put ipamorelin. Yeah. Different receptor.
Ghrelin response. Yeah. You're fine with ipamorelin.
That's no problem. That's why we did it. We figured that out.
Yeah.
10 years ago.
Why do you think nobody puts those things together in a vial? It's because it doesn't make any sense.
By the way, sermorelin barely works.
Also, I never recommend that. And I see, unfortunately, so many people go to their doctor.
Because it's approved.
And that's what I tell everybody.
Testosterone back on, hopefully by the end of the year.
Yeah. And I tell, everybody says, well, why would they recommend sermorelin if testosterone was better? I said, because that's what it's approved for. And this is the problem with the medical field. And look, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of good doctors out there, but there's also a lot of doctors that have no idea what they're doing, that are getting into this space. And people are coming in with questions and they're stuck in a little box, right? Sure. They can only do so much. It may not even be their fault.
Well, I mean, because they're following this is FDA approved. And by the way, the FDA is also approved, fentanyl and red dye number 5 and
all of these things,
all these chemicals that are in your food. They don't get things right all the time.
Favorite pain meds?
It means nothing really to me, but although it means a lot to a lot of people, which it's just, we're in this weird space where
you have to remember though, sermorelin was revolutionary when it came out because unless you injected human growth hormone, we didn't know how to get human growth hormone raised back up. And you got a huge spike. If I told you, that, and you're just a normal person, I go, and you don't know anything. If I go, hey, I can get you 50% more testosterone to go in your body, you'd be like, that's a win.
Yes.
Now, if your testosterone, like mine is at 182, 50% doesn't mean jack shit.
No.
Right. I'm still 70, 80 points under the worst case scenario.
Right.
Right. And that's what sermorelin did. Everybody's human growth hormone, IGF-1 levels are in the toilet once you hit 25. Very few people. Elite athletes have higher range numbers, right? But for the most part, most people are sitting around 140, 150 or less. So, 25% increase, great. You got up to 180.
Yeah.
Still nothing. You need to be in the 300, 400s if you want that real competitive advantage. I think, if you're in the high 2s, you're going to feel great for a long time. But it started, and then that's why they modified it into CJC, which was modified sermorelin, and then testosterone was started to use much better product, and then we started pairing them with ghrelin receptor 1 so that we can get dual action to get that number up. And then you have things like small molecules like MK677, which is not a SARM, which was everybody thought for a long time, but that one works incredibly well for putting on weight. It's very good. So we have different methods. Sermorelin, was the first one approved.
It's just obsolete because there's better technology. That's all it is.
Do you still want to drive your 1974 Civic? Go for it. But I'm taking the 2026 Civic if I'm going to take the two. Like I want Bluetooth radio.
Yeah, technology advances, peptides advances, just same with follistatin and the FLGR.
The other part is it doesn't hurt because we can do the fat now because it's such a slow binding release. There's so little. When you do those, if there's this is going to take a long time for people to catch up to this because they're going to do it. So we've created these things like albumin binders and so forth, where you need far less of the product to create the same process. And I have a oral study going on where I made a product that makes, it not only makes some of the peptides stable to go through the gut that we're never able to, at least on all the validation virtual models.
Yeah.
We paid hundreds of $1,000s to get done, which is always the first step. Now we're in IRB, right? So we're actually going to put them into humans to do the safety studies, but we're going to see if that validation, which when they do this, it's kind of like you go, oh, I did it in a mice study. It should work in humans. Well, when you look at a group of mice and there's 100 of them in there, they all look identical. It's 100 white mice with red eyes. They're all the same size. Go grab 100 people in this office building.
Yeah.
Tell me how many of them look the same. We don't look, me and you kind of, but you're tanner, you're taller, beards. You look nothing like the either two of us, right? No. We all look different. So when we run these validation studies and these, spend hundreds of $1,000s with these models that are being developed, we go, shit, we were able to get things 24, 25, 26 times more bioavailable in what a human would be able to do. But that's not every human. So now we got to get into humans. But if it works, I can make oral peptides work, but I will only say that once I get the human trials done, which are happening.
Mm-hmm.
The albumin binder is the same thing. So our new GLP-1 product that we have a patent on that they won't be able to take away from us, that we will be launching, it is a once every 2 week injection. And the dosage is, instead of you doing it's like a Retta kind of product, instead of you meaning 2, 4, 6, 8, who do we appreciate? We're talking 0.2 milligrams.
Wow.
So we're never going to burn your receptor out.
Mm.
You could literally not have to cycle it. You don't have to worry about it. If you do increase so minute on the body, you're not going to kill yourself. Not to mention, because of that also range, we see, or what we think we're seeing, is much higher muscle retention rate.
That's great.
Yeah, so we're going through.
Wait, when does that get launched? When do you think?
I have 1,000 bottles sitting in my freezer right now. So if you guys want to take some home, you're more than welcome to. Check it out.
I might take you up on that too and try it out for sure. That's interesting. So a big thing for me, Trevor, because you're friends with RFK, or you sit with RFK.
This is the thing. My Bill Moses, I'll say this. I work in some of the Maha stuff. I write safety studies for him. I do this. I go to the events. I'm moving to Washington, D.C. Bill Moses on my board is his best friend.
Okay.
That's my line.
So look,
he's not like, hey,
okay. Well, let's just say you're in close contact with RFK, which not a lot of people are. So you have some information about what's coming down the pipeline and what's next. So I'm really curious about that, as far as, first of all, I think the FDA approval and big pharma and where, how they're kind of pushing back on the peptides, but do you see a future where peptides are going to be freely used with the doctor side?
It's going to take some time.
It's going to take time.
It's going to take time, years. And the big part for this is we got to get into a new administration. And if we get into the new administration, the thinking stays the same, we have a chance. If it reverses, now the good news is they're working. There's no deaths. It's going to be really hard to shove this thing back in a bag or in a box.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see a full reversal. But no matter what, people don't understand. Okay, RFK is busting his ass to do the right thing, but there's a lot of people busting their ass to shut him down.
Of course, it's all about money.
It's about money. It's about relationships. It's about corruption and fraud. But the guy's got an incredible heart, and he's trying to do the right thing, and he's gotten way further along than many other people. But he's starting to run into the heavier pushback because he's moving faster than anybody ever does in Capitol Hill. It's just like Trump. Trump's the same thing. He just gets in. He's like, that gone, shutting
break
down
everything.
Yeah, break it up, rebuild it. Well, God, we should do that in insurance programs. So anyway, he's doing his best, and he's going to run into that. The other thing is he doesn't just run the FDA. There's actually an FDA director, which we got rid of Marty. We have the new gentleman that's in there, but that's only one. He's got to worry about peptides are really important to him, but the reality is we need to get our food fixed.
Oh yeah.
We need to get our Medicare fixed.
Our water fixed.
Yeah. There's all these other things. So he's got to, prioritize what's important. When we were talking to him, I wrote the 45-page safety study for the 13 that are going on
category 1.
Yeah. Onto category 1, or should be going to category 1. I wrote a 45-page safety study in October, and I have a letter from the Senate saying that they're going to push these over in October. I mean, we didn't get that announcement till 2 months ago?
Yeah.
So you're right. And everybody, this misconception, I know everybody, I actually heard you were wrong on one thing.
That's okay.
No, it's okay.
Hey,
everybody was excited.
Tell me.
When you went on, you're like, oh, these moved to category. No, they were removed from category 2. Now they got to go to the July hearings, which we were able to pad the seats because he needed to put 8 people on it because no one was there. So he's going to be able to elect 8 people to go on there. And this is why politics are also in my head like stupid. He's just going to put people on there and say, yes, this should go to category.
Yeah.
But then we got to go through a 3-month basically rejection period where people are going to come in and they get to dispute the decision that's made. And if, like, let's say they declined it, they have 3 months for people to come in and say, no, these have to go on. And this is why. Mm-hmm. So they can change their mind. Then from there, they got to actually put it into policy. So the reality is we're not going to see those go to category 1 probably till the end of the year or early next year. Mm-hmm. Now, what does that mean? Well, right now it means they're not on category 2. So the 503A system is going to start making them if the states don't care. But it doesn't mean every state. Alabama hate peptides. Doctors can't even talk to their patients about them.
Why is that?
Corruption. There's zero to say they can't talk to their patients about them. I mean, isn't that a violation of our amendments?
Well, also
freedom of speech. They're a doctor. They should be able to speak to their patient, have a patient doctor. You know, what is wrong with our system that Alabama can come in? They're probably, I'll be honest with you. The American Peptide Association, which we belong with, we write, my attorney writes a ton of the protocols for that organization. Yeah, I plan on suing the living shit out of Alabama as a group. Like, I'll contribute money. I'll put $100,000 into that because it's completely against the Constitution. Mm-hmm. So I want to see that go to the Supreme Court and them come in and be like, no. You don't get to just eliminate doctors talking to their patients about options for their own healthcare.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So you know all these states. So let's take Texas and Florida. You live in a great state. Florida's like, yep, go ahead. We don't care. We're not going to come. Pharmaceutical board, we're not going to show up to your 503A. Go ahead and start making them. They're not on category 2. They're not unsafe. Go for it. They're not on category 1, but they're not category 2. So you're good. And some states didn't even care if they were on category 2. So A's will start producing. But that doesn't mean they can ship them across state lines to states that still don't want it. So that's where this is coming. My B's, we can't produce them until they hit category 1, or because we're run by the FDA.
Right.
Whereas the 503A is run by each state individually, their pharmaceutical board. So like my drug license that I just received for my new location in California is approved by the FDA, and I have a California pharmaceutical license. And you have to keep adding on. But with that's here, right? Just because I can manufacture here doesn't mean I get to ship it to Georgia. Mm-hmm. I have to apply with Georgia with my license to be able to sell into that with a B, right? Because of the pharmaceutical side. Now my GMP drug manufacturing license, I can make for all 50 states because it's federally regulated. Things like that. There's just a lot that goes into the do's and don'ts. And most people don't understand all those dynamics. In fact, a lot of really smart people and attorneys don't even know them. Yeah. I just deal with them day in and day out because I have manufacturing sites in like 6-7 states now.
Yeah, it's a complex.
Yeah. And like I have 50 states in one for a license. I have 42 for a license. I have 37 for a license. I have 7 for a license. And we're applying for more. Right. So I got to remember which states, which places I can ship to which states from. Now, granted, we have technology. We build all of our back ends, everything, all of our EMRs, all that we build. We're not bastardized Shopify or whatever. We build all of our back ends. They're custom coded. It's ours. So we can write all the coding and to make sure that this stuff doesn't cross over. We ship something to the wrong place. We geofence out like Alabama now. We're not shipping peptides there from the pharmacy side. We're not going to do it. Yeah. We don't want to deal with it.
So back to, I mean, you said it before about how, China's pissed with all of this stuff coming here. And, we acknowledge the APIs and everything.
Well, those are allowed.
Raw materials. That's fine. But the actual finished product itself, because I know a ton of people are buying from China. We use a US manufacturer, just, similar to you guys, if not also you guys, that we're getting it from. But a lot of people still can't comprehend this US manufacturer. And it's really interesting. I don't know why there's so much pushback in it. Everybody just thinks like, because the raws come from China, everyone's like, oh, well, it's all made in China. It just drives me crazy, this conversation, when people go back to that. It's very different when you're getting the finished product from there versus what we do here.
If you live in Florida and you're a construction guy, right? You live in Florida, you're the construction guy, you're the GC, you go to build a house in Florida, are you going to say that's an American house?
Yeah.
Okay. Where do you think the nails come from?
Yeah.
Where do you think some of the wood? So the framing wood might come from Canada, might come from Russia, might come from all over. Is it still an American house? Yeah, it was put together here. Our materials are specialized. We get oil from the Middle East. We get oil from Venezuela. We get oil from Alaska. We get oil from everywhere. The pieces that we use to assemble come from everywhere, not just China in this thing. We as a country are finishers, we're researchers, we're technology. We create ideas and then we outsource them to cheaper markets to help produce the components, and then we put them together here.
Mm-hmm.
Where do all of our microchips come from? None come from this country.
Definitely not.
Right? That's what we do. So manufacturing raw materials for drugs, peptides, small molecules, whatever you want to use, is a dirty, pollution-driven business.
Yeah. And
we don't want it in this country. So we have outsourced it to China, which way lower labor, keeps our drug costs down, all these things. We'll have you do the components and we'll assemble here. We'll finish them here. Now, I get to pick where those products come from. We review the facilities, and it's not all China. Japan, Korea now, India, Thailand. We get stuff from all over the place. And some stuff we do make here. We have peptide synthesizers and reactors, and we build everything here.
Yeah, you were telling me.
We just can't do it in mass production.
Right.
And then also, that's not legally allowed for pharmacy. The pharmacy side, they make us buy from green list facilities wherever they are, mostly in China, because that's where it is. But when you go to, if I go to build a 503A, that most people are like, oh, that's the legit way. You can only make a batch of 250 at a time. It's all hand done. It's there's good and bad, but you have a lot of human error. If I have to hand make, there's no automation allowed in a 503A.
I tell everybody this too. I say this a lot about the human error.
There's a lot of human error with me sitting there, people filling bottle by bottle and calculating 250 bottles at a time.
Yeah.
Right. When we go to production in a B or a drug manufacturing site, we're allowed to use automation. So I might make 5,000, 10,000, sometimes 30,000 at a time. They're all one batch that we've pre-tested that is going to be perfect. We've already created the same thing every single time. We can test it before we even put it into these machines. And then the machines calculate and make sure that it comes out absolutely. Every bottle is identical.
It's calibrated.
Correct.
You have a well-oiled system.
Yeah. And then we take, one bottle per, maybe 250 or 500 bottles out of that mix at random. We send those off for testing. We make sure that batch looks good for sterility, endotoxin, stability, mass spec, all this stuff. We do it all. But that is way easier to get it right. Now, if you get it wrong,
you're really screwed.
Well, there's a scene in the show that they did on us. There's like 8-part series on me and Jay. I'm breaking my phone. I got a phone call. We fucked up like $4.5 million.
Oh my gosh.
Of material in multiple batches. My team made a batch. It was incorrect. And instead of trying to figure out why it didn't come out right, they just did it again.
Oh no.
So it was 20,000 units of it was actually Clo.
Clo.
So we had 20,000 units of Clo that we burned through. And that wasn't just the end of it. There was a couple other things. So I was pissed. So our rationale for error, if I miss a 250 batch, that's not that bad. But the bottles are varianted all over the place in the compounding world, but they're not in the manufacturing world.
Mm-hmm.
So we are only allowed to buy from green list facilities that can do that. So our hands are tied. Now, my glass, I use an American glass manufacturer because I can. There's somebody here. They make the best glass. I pay more money for it because it's here. Specialized products we make in-house because we can do them here. I use companies for my topicals and so forth because we can do those here. But my 503As cost $2 to $5 million to set up. and start. Not just like materials, not the labor, not the applications, but let's call it $2 to $5 million to build one. My 503Bs start at 60 million and go up to $100 million to make.
Mm-hmm.
A site to do raw API manufacturing, just the base materials, will cost 200 to 500, even $1 billion.
Wow.
To make. That's why we leave it to China. They have clean energy too. They use nuclear. We use oil, gas, coal, all the wind sure as hell ain't clean.
Mm-hmm.
It's clean, I guess, once we get going, but it really isn't once you factor the build outs and the roads and everything we do to do them. So we outsource it because we'll leave the pollution over there. We'll take the cheap labor. They have a cleaner system to actually pump all that power through. And then we'll make sure that product is perfect by testing it 13 times. And then we'll build it here at the right spec that's perfect for the consumer.
Love it. And that's what we tell everybody. It's like, that's why we do the US manufacturing versus getting the finished product from China, because we can actually control everything here. And the way that I tell people too about this is like, if you're getting it from China and you're just testing one vial out of 1,000, you're basically just going to the beach and you're scooping up a scoop of sand and saying, hey, there's no cigarette butts in this. So there's no cigarette butts in the whole beach. Yeah. Right. We know that's not true. But what you guys do and what all of the US manufacturers do is we do rigorous testing and
you see our testing,
batch
it'll be like 37 bottles.
Yeah.
50 bottles. Like it's not just one.
Yeah.
The other thing is that people don't really like look into that much is these sites that are making these under the cloak in China, because they're not legal to make a finished product. They're like, okay, there's nobody looking. Let's make all this stuff really quick, get it in the lyos, get it made, pump it out, and just get rid of it. They're not running all the tests. They're not taking their sweet ass time. They're not running all their SOPs like they are when they make the raw materials. So they're smuggling this. Smuggling it.
It's like,
so you could get by the way, they're really good at their job.
They are.
So most of the time you probably are getting something that's fine. But I don't know about you. People will pay $8 a day for Starbucks. They'll spend, a ton of money for, buying their alcohol. They'll go buy Clase Azul for $180 a bottle or $50 a shot at a bar, or $100 a shot. You'll spend $100 on one shot of fucking tequila. But if you want to go buy a bottle, you're like, well, no, you're $50. No, I'm buying this Chinese shit for $40.
Yeah.
You want to save $10 something you're injecting in yourself?
No.
The rationale is, okay, skip one shot of Clase Azul and buy from me, and you got 4 months.
And it's good. It's good. Well,
I don't know how people justify.
So we did a test.
Yeah.
And we ordered 12 different products from overseas and we sent them all out for testing just because we wanted to do an experiment and see.
What happens is, and sorry to cut you off, but to kind of set the scene, there's a huge underground influencer market, right? And you see it all over social media. There's just some random person talking about peptides, their peptides, getting them from China. It's much cheaper. And look, I'm honest to everyone. We're not the cheapest.
No,
we're not we're not the most expensive, but we're not the cheapest. And we constantly have this battle going back and forth. We're like, I remember people are always saying like, "What, your products are too expensive." I don't want to get into the details of the business to be able to explain to someone why our products cost more, right? It's not the consumer's business. But the reality is we're not trying to compete with the people importing, buying stuff from some random China person who they've never met, don't own a company. But that's kind of like why we decided, you know what? Let's see what this is all about, right? Everyone is out here on social media talking about it. They're getting it cheaper. Fine. Let's test it. So we went ahead and purchased 12 random peptides. We thought, let's get a nice sample size so we know for certain. I could let you finish the story and take it from there.
And 2 of them out of the 12 came back with nothing. They couldn't even figure out what it was, which actually is really freaking terrifying. Right. And then one of them, it was like a 50 milligram, came back with like 20 milligrams in it, right? Severely underdosed.
Which is the same thing as not doing anything.
But the other ones came back really good.
Yeah.
Right? So it's
like I said, they're really good at what they do, but That's 25%.
That's not good.
Margin for error. That is not
That's
worth
not good.
me
No,
injecting
no.
myself.
No.
Exactly.
That means that 1 out of every 4 bottles that you're going to buy, you don't know what the hell you're putting in yourself.
Yeah.
No.
And we only did 12, right? Like, look, we spent
That's 2 bottles every morning.
A bunch of money on this test for the viewers, and everybody was, quite honestly, there was like a lot of people that were pissed. They're like, oh, that there's no way that many vials come back.
It really is.
But I
It could
actually,
probably be worse.
I actually think it's worse.
We thought, can it be this bad? 25%? That's scary. Let's send them out again to another lab.
We sent them to another lab.
So we sent them to another lab just to confirm the test. Sure enough, that other lab came back with the exact same results.
Of course they did. The labs have they're doing their job. They give them something, they tell you what it is. We do the same. I have like 5 labs. We do a ton of internal testing, but we also do third party. But I mean, if you go down to like my location in San Diego, TPP, we have a full GMP testing facility. It is gorgeous. We have everything there. It's gorgeous. We do sterility, endo, everything. And we can third party that out to anybody. Like if you guys wanted to get your stuff tested, we can do it there.
Yeah, we're always looking for,
I'm just
testing partners.
And it's not one of these makeshift guys that pop up that bought some equipment that don't have a GMP. Now we have facilities that we haven't run through GMP because they're just for us to play with.
Yes.
But if you're actually documenting, like let's look at Freedom. I don't know. I'm not calling Freedom out. Freedom is there, but it seems like every bottle that Freedom puts out, they're always perfect.
Well, it's funny that you said that because we actually sent those bottles to
So
Freedom.
And we've heard the same thing, that they can make mistakes. So we're like, let's send them out to another third-party testing.
Do we know Freedom has a GMP license or GMP certified testing facility? Probably not. Doesn't mean they're bad, but the steps required and the fact that someone could walk in our door at any point in time and go, all right, let's see. What are you doing right now? Well, I'm about to do this. Great. Show me where that is in your SOPs. My people have to literally go grab the binder and go, I'm on page 17. Okay, go ahead. Keep going. And they watch while that person goes through the entire process. If they miss one fucking step, nope. Okay. Oh, missed another one. Okay, pull it. You guys are down right now. Like it's not off just that, but they're gonna shut you down, or they're gonna make us get corrections. A lot of times if it's nothing crazy, you're not hurting people. It's you got to submit for corrections, and it might be retraining. It might be we're not current with the standards because they do change every quarter. So we might not have known, or we missed that there was a change that you're no longer. This is one that's already gone, but like when you are building a product in a ISO 5 lab, you know what ISO 5 lab is? I'm assuming, okay. ISO 5 is the cleanest level. There's no particles in the air, and like it goes up, and if it's injected, it needs to be ISO 5. If it's an oral, it could be an ISO 7 or 8, right? So ISO 5, do you know what smoke studies are?
Smoke studies.
Okay, so airflow is the biggest thing, and the airflow is what keeps the particles out of the bottles. So if you sneeze, cough, hair falls off, whatever, then you're gounded, but stuff gets in the air. Maybe it's stuck to your shirt, right? Granted, it shouldn't be because you're ripping these things that are brand new every time you walk in, but there's stuff in the air. So what they do is, do you have horizontal or do you have vertical air? Where's your air coming from? Because that is where the particles, if they do come off, are going to blow. So if you have air that comes downward,
it's not good.
Well, no, it depends on what you're building.
I guess so.
Right? It's not good or bad. It's just what are you using or building? Because not everybody's making peptides in little bottles that are like this. So, but if you have an open, then that's why people, even in ISO 5, have hoods to assemble it. But if it's an open bottle, you cannot put your hand over the bottle, because if you did have anything on your hand, you just blew it off into a bottle.
Right.
If you have horizontal and you're making, like, let's say this table is full of peptides and the air is coming this way, I can't walk across there. I have to walk around the back
behind it,
or I have to stay on side to side. Those are the things that are constantly being looked at to make sure. And if you don't know that, you're doing it wrong. So I walk into these people's facilities and they look good, but I can just watch and I go, no, they would be shut down in about 4 minutes. I can pick out 25 things that they're doing wrong. When the FDA came in to look at my facility in San Diego, 2 weeks of watching smoke studies. 2 weeks. I think they were just, making money and, texting or going on Instagram. But They spent 2 weeks watching our smoke studies to make sure we were doing everything right in our laboratories.
Mhm.
Wow.
That's how detailed these things get. And they have to be, we have to type every one of these up. They have to be there for someone to go and go, I don't know what the next step is. Let me reference it.
Mm-hmm.
But if the person's doing something, they don't have that book there, and the FDA comes in or the DEA comes in, they go, okay, let's grab the book since you don't need it. Show me where you're at. And I'm going to follow the steps because you were obviously going to do this without the book anyway.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just
That's how it goes.
held to an extreme level of scrutiny, which is
That's
amazing.
why you're going to pay a little more.
Which is what we want.
More to do this.
Which is what we want.
So pay $10 or $20 more for your peptide and don't get an infection or inject God knows syphilis into yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and skip a Starbucks coffee
Right.
once in
Yeah.
a while.
Yeah.
So research space wise, and sorry, maybe I
No, go ahead.
Okay,
We might have the same question.
Yeah. I just want to know because you're in the know about all of these things. And this is not a question from me, although I'm curious about it. But a lot of my followers and in my school platform and everything that we have to help educate people, they're just curious. Like, is the research space ever going to go away?
No, because
didn't think
that
so.
would be no research.
Yeah.
What, we're going to stop researching? We're going to stop trying to find cures?
Yeah.
Products? No, that will never go away. Now, they may, so things like this. So if the, testosterone and ipamorel and all these products move to category 1, there is a very good shot that the FDA comes in and says, well, you can't sell a research peptide for that anymore because we just moved it to category 1. So you're going to lose a giant chunk of your business when you lose BPC, TB,
Mm-hmm.
500 or TB4. You move these molecules over. They can come in and say so. Now, will they do that? I don't know. Nobody knows, but they're only adding 13 more. I don't know how many products you have, but I have hundreds.
Yeah,
we have
about
about 90
100.
different SKUs.
Yeah, right. So you got 8 plus 13, 21. You're reduced.
Mhm.
That's kind of your worst case scenario. Now,
But people are still good. Even if that happens, people are still going to be out there selling them. Obviously,
they will. But they
but
can make it a criminal.
They
act.
can just be in a lot more trouble for doing it.
They can, and that's what they're cracking down on now. Is the Chinese stuff because you're breaking the law in multiple countries. So now they're starting to crack down.
Do you think that this huge underground influencer
it's all being
market, do you think that ultimately hurts or benefits the industry?
It hurts the current industry because there's so many people that don't know what they're saying. It was what built the industry and helped people get where they are. So I look at it and go, well, thank God it happened, but now we got to wheel it back in a little bit. Sure. I think that people just need to stop. It's like the car salesman technique or the really crappy guy that will walk in and you say no, and they keep coming up with a different idea. And you're like, no means no. But they'll throw anybody under their bus. They'll lie out of their teeth. They'll say anything. And that's where it's gone wrong is people say this will do this for you.
Mm-hmm.
I can talk about it and say, this did this for me. And I can say, the studies are being shown for this. And yeah, you should do some research and see if this can help you. But the statement of will correct, will cure, will do this. I cured my epilepsy. Doesn't mean I'm going to cure yours.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's the way we approach it. Even our own podcast, when we talk about different compounds, we always start with, this is what I did. This is what worked for me. We test on ourselves everything we talk about. If we haven't tested it on ourselves, you don't have, then
it's true.
We don't even talk.
We don't even sell it. We don't market it. We don't do nothing unless we've used it personally and had a personal experience. And if you look on my social media and listen to it really closely, what I say in all of my posts are, these are the first peptides that I would use if I had this.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's a personal experience. And this is just my social media is purely this is an idea, or this is something that I've ran, and this is how I would use it if I had this thing specifically going on with myself.
Yeah. But people go out there and they go, you'll lose 30 pounds. Well, will you? I can't lose 30 pounds. So no. You're lying to me.
Yeah.
So the absolutes are bad. The other thing is lying of that it is for human use when it is a research. Well, yeah. I mean, by the way, if I make it in research, I make it in a pharmacy, or I make it in my drug manufacturing, it's all the same product.
Same.
It is, a product that was made to be for humans. But if we're making it in that subset, It's a research product.
Well, here's what I always tell people. If it says it's made for humans, it's because there was a lot of money put behind those studies, hundreds of millions, and they're looking for hundreds of millions in profit. If it wasn't put through those studies, that doesn't mean it didn't work. It just means there was no benefit financially to put it through clinical trials and market it, because they either can't patent it and own it, right? Why are you going to spend hundreds of millions? You think Eli Lilly spends hundreds of millions of dollars for a product that anyone can make? So they just want to prove it works so everyone can make money off it.
And that's the problem. That's why these peptides are never going to get those studies done unless, like, then the RFK is actually trying to help with that.
Or unless you do it yourself.
Which you're
doing it.
But RFK is actually trying to help with this too, saying, okay, we don't need to do $100 million in 10 years of studies. We can do safety studies and prove that these are safe and that they do have these reactions, and they can be limited to that so that we can stop taking. It's not for research anymore, guys. Like, we know that this does work, right? Now, it's not a patentable product. We're not going to throw it through. These are things that are generally deemed safe. Not a drug that has 27 side effects on the box and can cause anal bleeding and your hearing to explode. So, but for things that are safe, that are naturally occurring, we're trying to figure out where can we make this work where we're still doing the real study. It's not going to cost $100 million, but we can prove that it works and it's safe for humans. So we're going to figure that out. But the other thing is like, here's another one that stirred everywhere. That lady got on that said BPC is going to cause cancer. And all that,
which she was on whose podcast? Sean Ryan's? Yeah, I was on Sean.
Complete full of shit, the whole entire thing. And then she also said that TB500 is so unsafe. That's why they stopped the study.
Well, they just say that, first of all, because I think they have
unsafe at all.
Have a hidden agenda too.
That was 100%. They couldn't patent it. 1,000,000%. They were in phase 2 trials. It never had a bad reaction. It was just that. And I haven't read the whole thing. Maybe there was a couple of side effects, but for the most part, nothing that would stop the trial. It was because, well, if you're going to dump another 50 million in, you're sitting there going, oh, I can't patent this one. No, let's start making it. We know it's safe and know it works. It actually did work in the trial. BBC, sure, it does cause that, but it's never shown, and there is 50 years of study on BBC to show that it grows cancer. You're talking about the 1 in a billion. You can get hit by a car outside. Or you can crash your car. Are you never going to drive? BBC does so many things. If you have if you're going to limp the rest of your life and be in pain, compared to a 1 in a trillion chance that BBC might grow cancer, everybody's dying of cancer anyway.
Yeah, you gotta take it. You gotta try.
Right. What the benefit outweighs the risk, and that's the point. Like, well, sure, anything. You know what? You could die of oxygen. What do you mean I could die of oxygen? Well, if I on accident slip with pure oxygen and put it on your face, you'll die of oxygen poisoning. I'm not going to stop breathing. That's how ludicrous these people are. They find a fucking small fact that is so inconsequential in the grand scheme. If you're going to make that statement, give me a percentage. Give me an odds that this would
assess the risk.
What is the real risk? And you know what? I implore whatever that person is, and I'm not going to call her name, but those are the things that are ruining our industry and ruining the ability for people to help other people. And you may not want the influencers to do it. I'm fine with that. But don't shit on the entire product that has 50, 60 years of information that shows the benefits and the help it's producing, and shut it all down over something like that. Scare everybody off of it.
Yeah, well, that's what it does, right? Because you say that one word, cancer, and everybody's scared. It turns off so many people. People are afraid of, like, just
hundreds of people sending that post to me.
If they're dying or if there's potential cancer, like, that is a no-go for so many different people that are just worried about it. So you got to have backup, like you said, to actually, say that in a setting, especially on a giant podcast.
Yeah.
Right. And then of course, all of the clippers clip it all over Instagram. And then I probably got that clip 1,000 times on my Instagram. And I'm like, don't worry about it. Just going,
no.
Yeah, I know. I get to that point too. Or the other thing where, bullshit. I'm gonna say this to you because actually you're the person that is going to really put this to bed. So many people are like, oh, you know, the COVID vaccine's in the peptides that you're taking, or like they say this crap, or like you're getting vaccinated from your peptides. So I'm like, guys, but you're the guy with all of the 503Bs and 503As, so you can discredit this entirely.
So COVID is something you could test for. When I run the test on the product that arrives, because I test everything when I buy it. So let's say I want to buy a kilogram of BPC 157. I get an 8-page COA from the material I'm purchasing. Okay. And I will get that for my glass. I'll get that for my recombinant agents. I'll get that for buffer. I'll get it for everything. Everything comes with a COA. This is what you're purchasing. Okay. And it's certified that this is what's in there. I don't believe anybody. Maybe on like glass, you can visual inspect. We'll throw some glass in there. We'll fill them and we'll test them to make sure that they are actually sterile. But for the most part, if I order 1 million vials of glass, I'm not going to sit there and test 10,000 of those vials, because they're all certified and I know where they're coming from. And the facility, that's what they do. They pump out billions of vials that are sterile. But when we go to something like the powders, but we do test them. When I get that, I get this thing. And it's not just that I'm worried about the sterility. I'm making sure that what they sent me is right. Because somatropin, Serostim to Somorelin to semaglutide to whatever, right? Whoop, they grabbed the wrong one. They're all S's. They're all kind of sitting next to it. Oops, I grabbed the wrong kilo. I want to make sure that they grab the right product first. Number 2, I tested because were they truthful? I bought something that was 99.7% purity level. I tested 97. Well, I got a problem. I can't sell it as it is. I either need to clean it and bring it up. I have to purify it, which takes time and money, and I lose product doing it. Or I'm going to go and say, hey, I can either clean this. You're going to give me 25% off my next order, or I'm going to ship back and you ship me one that's right. I'll also look at water content. Is that right? Because if there's a lot of water in it, then that's going to evaporate and come out in the lyo process. So I have to recalibrate and redo my formulations. There's all these things that I look at. You've 7, 8, 10 pages sometimes on the COA. I am double checking their work and their truth. When I'm doing this, I'll see if COVID's in it. I mass spec it, right? So I'll see what peaks and what else is in there. If it's 99.7%, I'm pretty sure that 0.3% is not COVID.
Yeah, I agree. It's just one of those stupid social media things that people keep sending me.
Conspiracy theorists.
And it's another scare tactic too, where it's like, oh yeah, this is how the government's vaccinating.
They're also now saying like, they're putting, oh God, my brain is.
Was it fentanyl?
Fentanyl in the peptides. No one's spending the money on fentanyl to put it in your peptides.
No, it costs way more.
It costs way more. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
You know what? It's funny you say that, because like, we're pretty darn honest, so we don't do it. But yeah, I would love to get, instead of Somorelin, a kilogram of somatropin, because it's about 20 times, 30 times more expensive. The reality is we're going to say, hey, you sent us the wrong stuff.
Yeah.
Do you want this back?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably won't give it back.
No, we always give it back. You know why? Because we got to order. It's just the right thing to do. Like that shit bites you in the ass.
Yeah. No, we agree.
We've got to send.
It's one thing if there's like a $20 bill on the floor. Anybody? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go around everybody. Hey, did you lose a 20?
Yeah.
Someone's going to be like, yeah, I lost a 20.
Of course.
Same thing, right? But it's just one of those. It's better to do it that way. But I got time for one more because I got to.
Well, I have a one more because we talked a lot about ourselves, talked a little bit about you, but I think one question hasn't been asked is, how did you get into the peptide business?
Well, I got into peptides through injury, like most. I tore my bicep off the bone. So when I went in, I had to go through the whole process of like, do I want to rip the other half off, anchor it, lose half my bicep, which was what the orthopedic surgeon told me. He goes, I can run PRP. It won't work. Cost you, a couple $1,000s. We can put you through, going into rehab. It's not going to work. I'll see you in 6 weeks. I said, okay, well, put me in that. I'm going to get a second opinion, but at least schedule the rehab so I have it. He goes, okay, cool. I'll give you a call in 6 weeks. Okay, great. And that's when I called my buddy Dave and I said, hey, will human growth hormone help me with this? And he goes, probably not. It could help with the process, but he goes, I think you should try these peptides. I go, what the hell is peptide? 12 years ago. And he's like, he goes, what do you got to lose? Just try them. Okay. So I went to physical therapy and I was pumping these things in me and they worked. I don't know how much I was taking, whatever. None of these bottles had labels on them, but he gave them to me. I went through the scraping, the electrostim, the massaging, the pain of it. It was not a pleasant process of bleeding some days from the scraping so hard, you're tearing your skin off. But I got through it and it corrected itself. And that's where it started. Now, that wasn't the start of the business. For 7 years, I just played around with those guys and we kept making things. There was not a whole lot. We knew like 7 to 10 peptides how to make because there was no API. We were making these things from scratch. Right. And there was, no one believed them. No one's going to stick a needle. Everybody had a fear of needles then. Now it's the first time ever in history, people were more scared of being fat than a needle.
Yeah.
My brother wouldn't touch an insulin needle to save his life. He's down 50 pounds of fat. He's shredded. He's got a 6-pack. He's 55 years old. Greatest thing he ever did. He still won't use a long testosterone. He still puts his testosterone insulin needle, and that's how he does it. But he's like, God, do you remember when I couldn't even look at a needle? I'm like, yeah. So, it was just an uphill battle. And 5-6 years ago, when I actually decided I'm going to create a business out of this, I called 30 doctors a day and I would get 29. You're a fucking criminal. You're an idiot. No, I've never heard of this. What is this bullshit? Like, doctors had no idea what any of this stuff was. And there's door after door slamming. But one person today would be like, yeah, I remember peptides in school. This is fascinating. Can I get, tell me more. And then, I get a sale. Okay, yeah, I'll buy $80 of stuff. Let me trust them and let me do some research or whatever. And that was how the slow roll started. And it went from, 30 door slams. And everybody was nice to. I said, hey, you may not believe it now, but I guarantee you're going to hear it in the future. Give me a call. And it's funny. I'd say about 25 to 50% of those people, those doctors that slammed the door in my face, called me about a year later. And we're like, okay, I see a lot about this now. Tell me more now. And everybody was, I get it. Afraid of losing your license, doing something illegal. You don't know what they are. Like, yeah, I don't have like mass amounts of literature. I'm not a doctor. There's a lot of reasons why they would slam the door in my face, but that's how I started. But I was a sales guy, my, previous life and a number of businesses. I can deal with this door slam. It was easier on a Zoom call than it was in person. At least I had to walk into places and they'd tell me to go fuck off. It was way easier on a Zoom call. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
But that's how it started.
Yeah. And then it just grew into more and more and more.
Yeah. I mean, I quit my previous career and went all in. And I didn't know if I was going to survive or not. The first month I did 30 grand. And I go, okay, I can survive on this. Right. After taxes, all this stuff, I'm like, okay, I can cover my mortgage. I'd been divorced, just finished. Like I literally started it. I'd already been doing it, but like it was official, I knew what my budgets were. And I was like, okay, I can survive. I can eat top ramen or chicken breasts and turkey. And then the next month I did like 80 grand. I'm like, okay, now I'm making money.
Yeah.
Making more money than I ever have. Like a thing. And then the next month I did like 140. And then like 2 months later, I did 1.8 million.
Wow.
And then by the end of the year, I was doing 14 million a month. And then, we've had $30 billion months,
Crazy.
So and that's not even all the businesses. That's just one of them, my main business. Right. But I mean, that's expanded. I've rolled everything into it. I've taken out of the business personally, maybe $3 to $4 million. That's it. And most of that's gone to my mom. Fixing her, at one point I was spending $100,000 a month.
Wow.
Fixing her cancer. So every dollar I was taken out. This is no fucking joke. And you can call my best friend, Kevin. I get teary-eyed every time I think about this. I literally call him. I go, I don't have enough money in my bank account. I need $10,000 to save my mom. And he goes, fucking get down here. I got money right here. I borrowed 10 grand. I go, promise I'll pay you back. And I took that money and I spent it on an experimental treatment for my mom, and it cured her cancer that we built in that cancer research facility that I started with Mike. And he's a fucking genius. I owe everything to him. he talks to my mom all the time. We're super close. But that's how broke I was. Everything went back in. Everything went to taking care of my family and my friends and everything else. And I paid him back a week later in $5 bills as a joke. But, that's just the way it is. I'm blessed now, and I have money to take care of myself and my family and my, my future with my girlfriend and so forth. But I still reinvest 90% back in.
That's the way you grow a business.
Yeah. So when I look at, you hear me talk about building a $30-50 million facility, I have no debt. I have no investors. That's my money going back in to hopefully save more and more lives.
I love that. Yeah. Well, you're doing amazing things, Trevor. And I'm like, honestly, so grateful, that you saved your mom and have done all of these things to really pave the way for this industry. And just thank you.
Thank you for,
really,
like I said, I appreciate what you guys are doing. You're honest. You do it right. You're not, like I said, the little things that I might catch here and there, none of those are malicious or bad. They're just, little tweaks. And I'd say them too. There's things I say all the time. I said, I'll say them and I go, God damn it, I said that incorrectly. But I'm like, it's not worth trying to go back and rebuttal it. Like, all right, you want to call me out? I said D instead of B or something, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing there. But, you guys are doing right. And thank you very much. You traveling all the way down from Canada, from Florida today to do this. Hopefully,
thank you. Appreciate
you guys
Dude,
soon.
We were very excited.
I could have talked for 2-3 more hours.
Anytime. I next time you're in Florida, obviously not this time that you're traveling there, but next time Max and I will meet up with you.
Yeah.
We'll maybe get a lift in or something like that.
I'm in.
And do some fun stuff.
There's my doctor's appointment.
Yeah. All good. All good.
All right. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Trevor.
So good times. And we'll see each other soon.
All right.
Man.
Thanks, everyone.